Hello and welcome to another episode of the Fin Talk Show with Pros AI. In today's episode, I'm extremely excited to have Shayan Guho, co-founder of Avocado. Welcome to the show, Shayan.
Thank you for having me, Osman.
Maybe before we dive in, can you maybe give us a bit of background about yourself, your journey with Avocado? Just tell our audience who you are really and what you're up to.
Great. So yeah, I'm here based in San Francisco. I've been here in the Bay Area for the last 24 years. Love living out here.
Right.
Um, I've been an engineer for I graduated a long time ago, 15 years, I guess, and been spending most of my life in startups. And yeah, most recently I worked at before my current company, I was at another company called Teleborder. It was also another Y Combinator company, and we built TurboTax for the immigration industry. And we were acquired by TriNet, and that's where I really got interested in the SMB space and like seeing the power of an all-in-one solution. So TriNet is an HR solution for small companies, small startups, and it's an all-in-one bundle that works really well. And when my co-founder and I were ideating in 2020 on what we should work on next, we saw all this was obviously in the height of the pandemic, and we saw all of our favorite restaurants, struggling to keep up with all the new technology and new requirements that were coming down from the government. So we decided to kind of dig in there and we built an all-in-one system for small and medium-sized restaurants.
Wow. Wow. So that moment during the pandemic, that's really when you realize the struggles that they're having. But just going maybe slightly back, how did your background at Stanford prepare you to tackle this complex integration problem?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I yeah, studied computer science, did a undergrad degree and a master's degree at Stanford, and really loved just digging into systems. So I did a systems concentration where in the classical sense, that means like operating systems, networking systems, compilers. So these are all like very um, complex pieces of software that
Right.
run that fundamentally run everything that we base our current lives on. And so the next the next layer of complexity on that is involving humans, obviously. And I just love thinking about systems where like the restaurant industry is a system in itself, right? There's maybe four main players: the customer, the
Right.
restaurant owner, the employee, and the tech provider, which is us. So
Yes.
I like thinking about how do we align all our incentives and make sure we can all benefit each other and grow. So I
Right.
love the thinking.
Right. Fantastic. Fantastic. And you describe Avocado as, designed from the ground up, to work with an AI assistant. Why did you go this direction in terms of, choosing to build the AI native rather than adding AI features to all these other existing POS systems?
So to be fair, when we started, we first just started without AI, and this is in 2020, where we wanted to we and our initial idea was just an add-on on top of existing systems to do QR code ordering on top of Square or Toast like or something like that. But we realized like this is not really adding that much value to the restaurant, or it won't help us build a valuable company either. And
Right.
to really solve the problem, we wanted to rethink the solution from the ground up. There's a lot of great point of sale software out there, have a lot of respect for Square and Toast and other ones like that. But at the end of the day, they were started over a decade ago,
Right.
and they've built up a lot of this tech debt and legacy design that is holding them back now. So
Right.
we're able to come at it with fresh eyes and think about what it takes to run a modern restaurant. And then with the AI additions we started working on this about 2 years ago, all the AI features that we have now. it's more than just an afterthought. We wanted it to be really baked into the system,
Right.
have direct access to the databases in while still maintaining security. And it's not just so that, for example, an MCP layer on top of a current API, which is actually very limiting.
Right, right. And what technical challenges did you see or face building a POS system that truly integrates AI?
So first, it's like just building a POS system by itself is very challenging. You have to make sure that every penny is accounted for,
Right.
and these are the livelihoods of hundreds of restaurants and restaurant owners that are in your hands. So we take it very seriously. And in the beginning, we had some outages, but we always guaranteed our restaurant owners that we will pay you every penny that we owe you or that you lost because of a bug. So
Right.
that was a painful growing period in the beginning, but that really aligned our incentives with the restaurant owners that we want to make sure this is as bulletproof as possible. And then with the AI features, we started. I think we first started developing it when I think GPT 3.5 came out, and the models then were not that great, but basically the insight was actually I'd credit this to Y Combinator. They
Right.
had like OpenAI had a special event for Y Combinator founders, and we got to actually hear from Sam Altman himself on how do you
Wow.
build how do you build with AI and where's it headed? Because you could make the mistake of thinking that this is the final product from OpenAI and we have to build around it, but he made it very clear in that meetup, like this is just the very tip of the iceberg. They know where it's heading, so you want to kind of build where the puck is heading versus where it is right now. Um,
Right.
to borrow that hockey analogy.
Right.
But so that was very insightful to know. Basically, the idea is like let the AI be as powerful as it is and put the guardrails you need there, but give it direct access to as many things as possible and define it in a very very concrete way and let the model do its thing basically.
Great, great. And you say your agent, truly understands menus, modifiers, sales data, customers, and so on and so forth. Can you walk me and the audience, like through a specific example, how that really works in practice?
Yes. So I'll start with the first AI feature that we launched to our customers actually was in 2023, which was a simple way to get more customer feedback for the restaurant owner. So it's very important as restaurants try new dishes or they just have they're getting feedback back from from their customers,
Right.
and we want to if something goes wrong, we don't want customers to go and complain about it online. We want to give them a channel to talk directly to the restaurant owner. So
Right.
our first thing we wanted to do it in a fun way. Like we send receipts like every other POS system, but most people with an up arrow with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but
Right.
most people just ignore that. So our first AI feature was after you place an order at a quick service restaurant, it would our system, let's say 20 minutes after you pick up your order, will send you a message and will actually send you a poem about the order. And
Right.
in that poem, it asks you for feedback about the order. So it's a kind of a fun way to get more customer engagement end customer engagement for the restaurant. And we saw after we released that, we saw 4 times as much feedback coming back to the restaurant owner. So that was a
Wow.
great use of
Wow.
these early models where they weren't that intelligent, but they could really write an awesome poem.
Yeah, wow, fantastic. That's a very catchy way to do it, and I'm sure restaurant owners must have been pleased. But how do the owners react when they see an AI actually making operational decisions rather than answering just questions?
Yeah, so we that was a more recent addition. We
Mm.
we tried it actually in 2023, a
Yeah,
first version of this, but the models really weren't there, and also the market wasn't um, really prepared for it, I think. So we did a few demos and it worked, let's say 80% of the time,
Right.
but restaurant owners weren't that excited by it. I think we were just too early. But
Yeah.
then again, we in last December we then relaunched it to our current customers, and the reception was completely different, right? Now the models could get there, 95% of the time, and
Right.
and the uh, and the restaurant owners, they were not only excited by what it could do now, but now because they're familiar with ChatGPT and all the other AI tools, they know where it can head to in the future. So that's why
Right.
that was a much better reception the second time
Right.
we launched it.
Right. And how did you bridge that gap from the early stages of, kind of resistance to them the uptake then becoming much better? Were there other features that you added before that?
Actually, I mean, a lot of it was, upgrading the model, to be fair, is like 99% of the of the
Right.
benefit. And then actually we deleted a lot of code that was there to try to work around the older models, like simple things like before you had to ensure that JSON was being passed back from the
Right.
model, but now you can take that for granted. Now all the latest models will guarantee that you get JSON back, and just other types of you don't need to explain things too much in the prompt. Like it has a much better understanding of the world and the context, what it understands what a restaurant menu is without having to explain it. So um, it's just kind of the best part was we got to delete a lot of code and just
Right.
upgrade the model, and then we implemented the one of the challenging parts, like rewriting everything to use this new streaming APIs and
Right.
then the real-time voice API. So, but most of the hard work was luckily done by OpenAI.
Right. Fantastic. Fantastic. And you emphasize that it's more than a chatbot. What's the difference between conversational AI and actionable AI in restaurant operations?
So, yeah, great question. So for example, one of the most popular things that restaurant owners do on our platform is, ideate, come up with a new item for a new special for an upcoming holiday. So, let's say Columbus Day is coming up next month and they want to have a special dish there that they can promote online. So obviously you could do this with ChatGPT as well, but in our system you can type give me some ideas for this upcoming holiday. You can access
Right.
your current menu and look at the descriptions of every item you currently have and know what ingredients you have in stock, and then come up with that, and then use that to come up with some suggestions. So there's a little bit of automatic context there that we feed it that you won't necessarily get from just using ChatGPT. And then
Right.
it and then after that, if you like what you see, if you like what it suggests, you could have it add it directly to your menu. And
Right.
then we created the UI that will let you visualize where it goes in your menu, and then you have the final say of like, I accept this change. And then once you do that, it automatically goes to your online ordering or your in-person ordering. So that's the
Right.
kind of next step that we add on top of just the base models.
Right. That's fascinating. That's fascinating. And which AI capabilities do you think have surprised restaurant owners the most?
I think one of the most powerful things is being able to automatically translate all the menu items into another language. So we recently did a sales call with a husband and wife that own a Filipino restaurant, and
Right.
the husband is, American and his wife is from the Philippines. And then we're doing the demo, and he wanted to translate everything also into Tagalog in parentheses next to every item name. And once we showed him that, he went and like grabbed his wife in the next room, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sold." Like you have to, so that these kind of like very power, like traditionally that would be a very manual, labor intensive process,
Yeah.
but now we'd like to take credit for it, but most of the heavy lifting is done by the model there, but we just
Yeah.
give it access to be able to do that. And we get a lot of
Yeah.
this multilingual support for free.
That's great. That's great. And independent restaurant owners juggle with a lot of tasks, a lot of tools and dozens of vendors. How does Avocado consolidate this into a single platform?
Yeah, so at our core, we're the point of sale where we get all of your in-person orders as well as your online and delivery orders can come through our system. So
Right.
instead of having to juggle all these different tablets and everything in the kitchen, it's all coming in on one system. And then we
Right.
have a KDS that is part of our base that is part of our bundle. Like we don't really have any add-ons. There's one fee and then you get the whole system. So you have the KDS in the kitchen that will have a one consolidated work stream for your kitchen staff. They have your in-person orders, your online orders, and your delivery orders all in one place, and they can manage that workflow. We also have
Right.
kiosk, and we have a standalone kiosk like a lot of other systems, but one thing that we have that's I think pretty unique is our point of sale can dynamically turn into a kiosk. So for example, if you're at a coffee shop and a line starts to form and you're just a single person working there and making drinks, you could then
Right.
flip the point of sale over and put it into kiosk mode, and people can continue to place drinks as you're in the back, as you're now start working on the drink. So you don't need to. This both like saves on staffing needs and like cuts efficiency.
Right.
It helps efficiency.
Right. That's amazing. That's amazing. And are you replacing some of the tools and integrating some? If you walk us through that, how does that work? What tools are you replacing? What are you integrating?
So yeah, we're replacing or we're an alternative point of sale. So for
Yeah.
Square and Toast, we have our online SEO optimized storefront for each restaurant. So that's similar to what Owner does as a separate tool, but it's you get it
Right.
for free within our system. Also, the delivery component, instead of using DoorDash, Uber Eats, or I think Owner also does that as well. That's all included in our system. Um, Kiosk and KDS, these are also separate companies or add-ons for
Right.
traditional systems, but it's all included in our offering.
Right. And the restaurant industry has, been slow in adopting new technology. How do you overcome this, if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality with
Mhm.
the POS systems?
Well, one thing we've seen, a side effect of the pandemic was that there was a resetting of the restaurant industry. A lot of restaurants closed, but then a lot of restaurants are now opening again.
Right.
So we were able to ride that wave of new restaurants coming online, and they have different and they're ready to adapt to the new requirements
Right.
of running a restaurant. Like 10 years ago when Square and Toast started, online delivery wasn't really a big
Big,
component, but
big.
now most restaurant owners know that and believe like this is going to be a big source of their revenue. So they want a system that treats that as a first class
Right.
solution versus just another add-on. So I think the kind of this wave of reopening of restaurants has helped us
Right.
grow
Yeah,
here.
that's actually an interesting perspective. I see now restaurants have actually really moved forward, something that most restaurants have takeaway as a standard now.
Yes.
And
And
what's your approach to, sorry,
so
go
I was
on.
gonna say, so are you seeing the same trends in London as well with
We
reopening?
see a lot of trends in London as well, with most restaurants now having takeaway features, cashless uh, payments and all that. So it's very the pandemic for sure changed a lot of things. But I guess in the industry still with business owners, just like any other business owner, you still need to demonstrate, the ROI to anyone who's skeptical. How do you break that? How do you show them the value that you're actually bringing?
Great question. Yeah, that's a lot of it. We're really leaning on word of mouth growth. So we've targeted specific geographical areas in the United States. So first we launched in just Austin, and it was the first, let's say first 20 customers, we were very hands-on, making sure we solve all their problems. But then after you get that core group of customers, all the restaurant owners talk to each other. They see what everyone else is using, and then we've started to get more inbound, organic inbound. And now that we've seen that works really well in Austin, we're replicating that now in the Charlotte area in North Carolina. And our
Right.
goal is to have, you know, 5 or 6 of these type of smaller cities that are growing, that also are growing a lot during post-pandemic, and
Right.
focus on them and expand from there. And then in addition, we rely on a lot of like word of mouth
Mhm.
reviews on Reddit, on and other sites like that that really kind of like show how much our customers appreciate our service.
Great. And looking into at 2025 trends generally in restaurant technology, where do you see AI making the biggest impact beyond the POS system? And how do you see this, affecting or changing the relationship between restaurants and their customers?
That's great, another great question. One thing that we've been looking at for a couple years, and I think we're finally ready to start exploring more intentionally with a partner, is like vision-based analytics for the restaurant. So making sure that basically with a couple cameras in the kitchen in the restaurant, you can get a lot of analytics, like how accurate is the staff in making certain orders? How many can there's a lot of actually like delivery fraud in the United States where people claim that they didn't get the thing they ordered, but we want to be able to protect the restaurant owner from that by showing like this is the actual uh, process of that order being made, and
Right.
now you can defend against a lot of this fraud that is happening. That's one thing that we're pretty excited about. And then obviously with some vision AI in the restaurant, you could take that one step further and just get full analytics. Like how much time does it take the average employee to put together this burger? And then you could really get all the data you need to continue to scale up your restaurant.
Right. Right. Am I right to think that now, as our Y Combinator backed uh, business, you serve restaurants, food trucks, and cafes. Are you looking to scale across different types of food service businesses?
Yeah, so we started definitely with food trucks and quick service, but we're already kind of naturally, a lot of those early food trucks that were with us have now grown on to full table service. One has
Right.
even been mentioned in the Michelin Guide, which we're really
Okay.
we're really proud of. Tare in Austin, but they started as a food truck. They've been loyal to our system, and we've kind of grown with them. So we're really excited about that, and we want to eventually serve all different types of food service businesses.
Right. And do you see a big difference between, how the AI needs differ between small cafes and full service restaurants?
Yeah, I think it is quite, it can be pretty different. Like for full service restaurants, especially like a high end, Michelin quality restaurant, they want more analysis on their customers. Like what do they actually want to, what did they order last time they're here? They want to be able to deliver that really personalized service, versus a cafe is about efficiency and efficiency in both getting the order out and their back of the house operations of getting their suppliers and making sure that everything their counting is all correct and everything like that, which where the margins are a lot tighter versus a high-end restaurant. They have more margins to play with, but they're about focusing on the customer service. But to be fair, like they both have these problems to some extent. Maybe one traditionally optimizes customer support, customer service, and one traditionally optimizes margins. But it's a problem that all food service all food service businesses have. So I think we're able to, and in addition with the AI, we don't have to necessarily clutter all of our UI with different features. If it's
Yeah.
behind a, a conversational interface, the
Right.
complexity can be hidden from the users that don't want to use that feature.
Right, right. And data analytics seems to be quite central to your platform. How
Yeah.
are restaurants actually using these AI-powered insights to make better business decisions?
So one example that came up last week is we one of the locations on our platform, they had a bad review and they wanted us to help them like understand how to use our AI to investigate it. So basically they got a bad review saying that the food was good, but it took 35 minutes to come out. So they were able to use our AI to bring up that specific order and then see all the orders around it and
Right,
investigate why did this order take 35 minutes when it should have taken 10 to 15 minutes. So they're able to quickly see, okay, this order came right before that had a bunch of items on it and that backed up the remaining orders. And you could do something like this with a traditional system by exporting all your orders and going through it manually. But now these day-to-day investigations can take a few minutes versus taking a few hours to dig into every single order that day. So we're really excited that worked out for them.
fantastic. And what kind of metrics, restaurant metrics, can AI predict, that traditional POS systems seem to miss?
That's another great question. I think one thing we're still working on this is weather-based predictions. So, I think before we were talking about the weather, but that really affects it can seem like a mundane topic, but it really affects how what restaurants sell and the
Right,
volume of sales they do. And in a place where we started in Texas, where the weather it changes quite a bit. So being able to predict, okay, there's a rainstorm coming between these 2 hours, maybe you could actually maybe it's better to actually shut down during those hours and not have to have like because nobody's going to come during this like torrential downpour or it's going to be a little hotter today like let's see what people order when it's over 100 degrees like
right,
watermelon salads and things like that and it can give you that sort of predictive ordering. So traditional POS systems will give you predictive ordering like last Thursday, this is what you sold. So you can expect about
right,
the same. But we can add the additional layer of last time it rained like this, last time the temperature was this is what you sold. And now you can know how to prepare for that day and
right.
you can make sure you stocked up in watermelon and basil and everything else that does well in hot weather.
That's amazing. Actually, that's very good insights to add to the restaurant owners. But can you give me any specific examples how your AI has actually prevented restaurants from losing money?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Do you have anything that springs to mind?
Yeah, let me think through that. The It's a little bit of we have helped restaurants defend from fraud
Right.
where basically um you can like some there's like if there's a dispute on a card we can bring up sorry if there's a dispute on a specific transaction we can bring up that exact transaction we make it very easy to see like who's clocked in at that time who did that actual transaction and we can get the actual story of what happened there and so we've actually successfully defended against so some customers they'll go to a bar, maybe regret the amount they spend, and then dispute the charge the next day. But once we have like definitive evidence that okay, no, this is what you actually spend. This is the person that was there, and we can present that to the credit card company really easily, and we're able to save the money, save
Right.
save the chargeback, basically. I don't know if this is
Right.
an issue in London as well, but it
It,
happens.
it, it is an issue, especially the heavy nights, Friday nights when somebody goes out and they probably sometimes you leave your card at the bar and say, just give me drinks and I'll settle at the end, and you have no idea how much you drank, and maybe sometimes people get to dispute, and this is somewhere where these tools can really help.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah, because of the initial problem. Yeah.
are there any specific challenges that you faced while building your business in terms of scaling across different, types of food service businesses, while maintaining, AI effectiveness?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest challenge for a business like ours is always going to be go to market and getting at the point. So first we started going door to door and just, talking to restaurant owners, hearing about their problems, seeing the ones that our solution made sense for. But now we're at the point where we have a very stable, robust system, and we just want to make sure that every restaurant owner knows that we're an option. We just want to be when they're looking for their next point of sale, they're looking at Square and Toast. We want them to also consider Avocado, and that's that's where our energy is being focused now. We want to make sure that we're, getting the word out, getting content on social media, doing podcasts like this, and making sure that we're in the conversation when they're looking for their next point of sale.
Right, fantastic. And Shayan, I think it's been incredible hearing, how you're genuinely transforming the restaurant operations, and having you on the show. Hopefully we can have you again sometime in future.